Good morning, Magic players. Welcome to the morning show where we discuss all things Magic the Gathering. Get your questions fired up and get ready for a great discussion this morning. Also, we do Decklist reviews, so if you got a 75 you need some feedback on, you better believe that you could send your spicy brew over here. Both myself and the community would love to check it out and give feedback. So brew up your cups of coffee and let's brew up some magic this morning. Welcome to Coffee and MTG. For April 8th, 2021, I am your host, Nikachu, the Merfolk Master. This could have been, this could have been like a morning Merfolk magic show where all we do is discuss Merfolk. We discuss Merfolk cards and Merfolk accessories. I opened it up to everybody. So thank you very much for showing up this morning. Good morning, MTG Ectoplasm, Augustin, Fraser, Spencer, Ward, Rebecca, Augustin again, Massimo, Steve, Straw, Lord Magicus, Mikey J, Eden, Victor, MTG Box, Alvin, Barbell, Bow, Benjamin, not Hot Cold Man, Endgame, and Carlos. Welcome everyone. All right, we already got some questions, so let's get going. MTG Ectoplasm, is it time to start putting Chalice of the Void in decks again? I mean, that's up to you. It's if you can use it very well. And I think Chalice of the Void is fine right now. It's in a good position. I prefer playing it. I don't know how the Spirits players consider it right now. But, I mean, there's a good chunk of, like, Death Shadow and Prowess and Burn. It has enough application that I think you'd be interested in playing it. I am personally. I don't know, like, at least for the Merfolk, from the Merfolk community, the real question is, do you want it in the main deck? That's when it gets really spicy. Do you want to put that very, very, I won't say narrow, but it's like high variance. I mean, that card is like really good or it's garbage. I mean, it's just a random dead artifact in your deck. Lord Magicus says, this looks like a job for me, so everybody just follow me because we need a little controversy because it feels so MT without the G. Oh, did I misspell? Oh, I thought I misspelled the name. Iron Warlock, good evening to everyone here from the Philippines. Just finished watching the last video on Modern Horizons 2 spoilers, and I'm not sure if Wizards of the Coast would do this, but I hope they print Allosaurus Shepherd. Oh god, I sincerely hope they don't do that. I think that, well, okay, to be fair, Elves needs help. Would Allosaurus Shepherd do that? Probably. But that is such a, it's a really big upgrade. Let's see if we can get the Shepherd here. Elves does need help. Like, it needs something. But holy fuck, look at all the words on a 1-mana spell. It's funny, only in 2021 would they do something like this, or 2019 to 2021. Like, if they would never do something like this, I don't know, like 10 years ago. This wouldn't be part of the design. Or if they did, it would be on a spell of some sort. Like an instant or sorcery, not a creature. Can't be countered. Green spells can't be countered. And it can pump everything up. But you know what? Elves needs help. That'd be the card that boosts it all up. Who knows? Actually, if anyone saw that video, let's talk about crop rotation for a second. Because at the time that I made the video, and even last week, I didn't understand where crop rotation would help us in Modern. And something, I was like, how does Tron use this? And actually, there's a very elegant, simple solution. In the games where Tron starts off with a forest, they can just sacrifice the forest for a Tron land. It's simple as that. So actually, this definitely would see play in a Tron deck for insanely more consistent turn 3 Trons. They would definitely have turn 3 Tron. Or at the very least, when they get to turn 3, they can play... or they could play turn 2 Chromatic Sphere or Chromatic Star, then crack it on their third turn with the random land that they have, get a green, and then use crop rotation to go get the final Tron piece and win. Yeah, so like it actually was... Well, I didn't hear anyone mention that last time, or I missed it, but it definitely showed up in my comments section. So there was a clear, easy way to slot crop rotation in Modern. Goes into the Tron decks, but will Tron be held back by the Hymn to Turok decks? That's what remains to be seen. It also remains to be seen if any of those leaks are BS or not. All right, so everyone, you should know the drill. 3 question marks before the question, 3 question marks after the question helps me find your questions amongst all the comments that I'm seeing here between 2 YouTube channels, a Facebook page. But if you're on YouTube, you can cheat the system with the super chats. Donate with super chats, and your question gets pushed to the top of the feed. But I think if you donate with like $3 or less, it'll get highlighted in chat, but I don't get a notification. But it will get to it eventually. Okay. Good morning, Nikachu from Eden. Would you play Staunch Shieldmate if it was a merfolk? That is interesting. Yeah, I would play this. I basically already play with like a 1/1 creature. I almost played with this, what is it? Shore something. There's like a merfolk. Here we go. Triton Shore. I almost played this. Maybe it's playable and I've never actually tried it. It's a 1/2. But it's like, it's a little close. But this, it's a 1/3. So it gets out of range of a lot of stuff. I can attack and block prowess creatures a lot easier with this thing. If it was a merfolk, I'd play it. Actually would be playable. Joe, good morning. Wilbone! Through the Breach is seeing a bit more play. Do you think if Sneak Attack is coming to Modern, it would put the deck over the top? It would make it, I would say it would make it playable. Because, you know, these Through the Breach decks, they're basically fringe decks. I think Sneak Attack would just make the deck more playable. It would just become like an archetype, period. Are you a Harry Potter fan? I actually am not. I didn't mind when I watched the movies. I liked the movies. Can't say I didn't enjoy them, but I'm not like a hardcore fan. I've never read the books. Honestly, some of those movies I never watched more than once. Halfway Joe, if Sneak Attack is put into Modern, would Breach just add 4 copies? Good question. I don't know what the right balance is. I don't know. Probably they would just play, they might play 4 Breach and then, sorry, they would play 4 Sneak Attacks, and I don't know how many more Breaches they would play. Maybe like 2 to 3 more. It's hard to tell how they would construct it. Oh, here, we got the plot twist here. They're parroting. It's not MTG without the G. Papa Joe MTG. Burn feels a bit lackluster in the moment. What do you think would be of great help for Burn to print in Modern Horizons 2? Well, there was the, what's it called? Oh god, what's the non-basic land card? This is so silly. I hate the names of cards. They escape me. Okay, what's the 2 damage per non-basic land card that at instant speed at that price of progress? That's right. It is the price of progress. It has a really elegant name, really, too, because, I mean, if you want to have, like, these advanced strategies of the future, these new dominating decks, there's a price to be paid. There's a price to progress, and boom, you're going to get shot to the face. 2 damage for each non-basic land you have. I'm so curious to know how that would affect the Burn versus Amulet matchup, because at the moment, for Amulet, it's like a buy. It's like Amulet will crush Burn almost every time. It doesn't look like that on paper, but they have so many blockers. There's so many ways to gain life. Anyway, and they can recycle things like Radiant Fountain over and over again. With the crew lands, bring it back, replay it, get multiple land drops a turn. Burn just can't deal with any of that. They're just completely screwed. So that card single-handedly would be a big deal. But I don't think Burn is hurting for the most part. Like, Burn is one of those decks. It's going to be good. Then it, like, gets out of favor because people adapt. And then people forget about it. Then it's good again. And then the format gets really broken and it's really fast, so it's bad again. And then they ban cards and then it's good again. So, like, Burn is not like this consistently always good deck. It comes in waves. It's good, it's bad, it's good, it's bad. It's like a seasonal deck in my mind. And actually is a pretty good deck to have in your tool. If you were to have a toolbox of decks to own, Burn is a fantastic addition to them, because when Burn is really good, it's really good. And I think it's a relatively easy deck to play compared to a lot of other decks when it's really good. Burn is really hard to play when it's bad, but it's really easy to play when it's good. And I think for the most part, people start picking up the deck only when it's good. And when it's bad, it's not the time to sell out of the deck. It's just you got to be patient. You got to wait for it to be positioned again in the metagame. That's all. It's a good question, but there is stuff. Oh, and also Chain Lightning. If the rumors were true, they might play this card. I'm a little. I mean, it will upgrade Rift Bolt at the very least. So like we've got like Rift Bolt. No, not Rift Bolt. Flame. Not Rift Bolt. Won't replace that one. Flame. Rift something. Oh. God, what's the 1 mana burn spell deal damage to the opponent? Do I need my coffee? I got great sleep last night. I feel like I'm on top of my game, but I'm just not on top of my name game. That's the Alzheimer's kicking in really early. Lava Spike. That's right. Oops. We got Lava Spike here. Only 1 damage. Only goes to players or planeswalkers. This might get upgraded from upgraded to Chain Lightning, which is 3 damage to anything, but a double-edged sword because you know the other red players can use it as well. Bolt folk could use this. Like they'll have the mana to pay. There might be some incentive to be playing with like Fiery Islet over like Waterlogged Grove now. If actually that would be very true. If Chain Lightning was in the format, there's actually a lot of reason to have Fiery Islet as our Horizon land as a Merfolk deck instead of Waterlogged Grove. Same thing for the Taxes players. They might prefer to have the red Horizon land over, say, the black-white one. Because they're in some niche situations, you want to copy their Chain Lightning. Oh, we got iFig with the super chat. Thank you very much, iFig. Hey, brother, what's your take on Spell Queller in Blue-White Stoneblade? Been running 3, and it's taken over a majority of my control mirrors. Love the content. I think... I mean, Spell Queller is fantastic in that deck. I mean, the deal is Spell Queller is just a very good card. Needs the right deck for it. And what I really like about Stoneblade is that it is an extra creature that you can use to equip the swords to equip your Batterskull, to equip your Sword of Fire and Ice, just equip any of your equipment that you're finding. And the more bodies that you have, which is why Stoneblade plays with things like Icefang Quaddle, the better your equipment are. Because, I mean, if you just play a Stoneforge Mystic and I kill it, or I kill the Batterskull as well, the less creatures you have on the battlefield, the less effective the equipment are. And not to mention, you know, Spell Queller is very, very good at interacting with a variety of combo decks and control decks. So anyway, I think Spell Queller is a fantastic addition to the deck. Keep it up. Nothing wrong with Spell Queller. Yes, you can Chain Lightning back to their prowess creature. That would be the point, definitely. Do you think Chain Lightning or Selfless Spirit is better? Oh, is a better spirit? Do you think Spell Queller or Selfless Spirit is a better spirit? I'm going to give it to Spell Queller. There's other ways of protecting your board, but there's not a lot of ways... There's not a lot of ways to counterspell stuff. And having a counterspell on a body, pretty useful. Like, really good utility. Now, Spell Queller can be clunky at times, because if you're up against a deck with a lot of removal, the effect doesn't really matter all that much. But if they don't, this is like just a main board counterspell against combo decks. I mean, it also can exile board wipes between, like Supreme Verdict, which are supposed to be uncounterable, because it exiles the spell. So it can deal with uncounterable spells as well. Whereas Selfless Spirit, it's a good card too. But I want to say there are other cards that are similar to it, but I don't think there are. It's a good card too. I'm going to give it to Spell Queller, though. Wise Counterspell in Modern Horizons 2. Well, we don't know. It's not confirmed. This is all Fugazi BS until we see officially from Wizards of the Coast. It's like... Just the other day, I was looking at like iPhone 12 leaks from like a year ago to see how accurate they were to like what the phone actually was. And they got some things right, but they also got things wrong. So you know, until the product actually comes out, until we see the cards, you never know exactly. All the leaks can be all BS. Would you crack any Modern Horizons 2 for content? Nope, I did it once. It was terrible. No one really cared. Well, it's not. I'm definitely not a box cracking content channel. Good morning. Is Fires of Invention viable in Modern using equipment? I think Fires of Invention is viable in Modern, but I don't know about using equipment. Actually, I have no idea what you mean by that. Like if, well, we're still in a position where Wilderness... Okay, I'll give it this. Wilderness Reclamation, right? This card isn't banned yet in Modern. It's funny, it's banned in Historic, it's banned in Pioneer. Still hasn't gone over the top in Modern yet. People are still waiting, figuring out how to break this card. But in my opinion, if people... The day that this card is broken in half is the day that also Fires of Invention is playable for Modern. But until then, this is just a better... For the most part, a better card. It's better if you have Instants. I understand this is the sorcery speed version, but I think in a format where you need a lot of mana, if this card is well positioned, then this card is well positioned. Right now, Wilderness Reclamation has no home. Funny enough, no home at the moment. Thanks for the question, Eric. Frederick, would it be too good? But after, oh, we're talking about the Allosaurus Shepherd. But after Plague Man, we deserve good stuff. What do you think about a cycle of legendary land for each tribe? For example, Scry X for each Merfolk, X mana for each elf. That'd be fantastic. That'd be cool. I mean, it would be just a legendary land ETB, name a creature type, and then it could have this ability. I think that's a good idea. That's pretty cool. Endgame, are there any new cards in the new set that you'd consider testing in Modern Merfolk? None. There's nothing in that set. Or I don't know. Maybe there's something that I forgot about, but for the most part, the Strixhaven was very unimpressive for Modern Merfolk. Hoodwink. Nikachu, please talk about the price of Modern Horizons 2 boxes. Is it insane for pre-orders currently? Probably not. I heard that it's expensive. Hold on. It is expensive. Is this the right web page? Looking for prices here. Awesome. We're gonna get Japanese cards. Do we have any official wording on like MSRP here? I got something from, sorry, there's something from Reddit, but I just don't know how official this. More than likely, the collector boxes will come out of the gate at $400 to $600. They're collector boosters, like whatever. The really only thing I care about is like the actual booster packs. Like if people want to spend like shitloads of money on collector stuff, you know, whatever. I mean, that's the point. I know there's no MSRP, but like, what is the market supposed to pay for sell this for? Or does like one random store sell at like a really high price, and then if it sells, then the other stores just sell it for the same price? Anyway, I expect that it's going to be expensive. It's just how it's going to be. That's just how it's going to be. It's going to be full of rich cards and all the other good stuff. I can't really specify much on the pricing because we don't know what the prices are going to be, but they're probably going to be very high. Will Moo with the super chat. Thank you very much. What kind of shell do you think Crashing Footfalls could be useful in Modern? Oh, there is a deck already. There's a deck for you, Will Moo. Okay, let's look. What is it? The Restore Balance, right? There we go. Here. So I found it on some Channel Fireball. Oh, look, Redude made a thing about this. I should just look up. But anyway, the whole deck is based around like As Foretold, which you can start playing things for 0 mana, and also Electro Dominance, which you can play things for 0 mana. And you have a bunch of 0 mana spells like Restore Balance. Holy crap, Channel Fireball side is really clunky and laggy. So you can like board wipe the opponent with this. You can draw 3 cards off of Ancestral Vision off those cards, but you also get to play Crashing Footfalls. So, and by the way, this was a very strong competitive deck in the hands of Spider Space. Please show up. I'm just going to assume this is Spider Space's deck. He did very well with it. He had a lot of good results with this, and he was the only one that wanted to play it. So you could just look up and look again. Where's Instants, Sorceries, Crashing Footfalls. There's your Crashing Footfalls card. Shows the card at the bottom right. And it was competitive. And I can't remember what. I think he said something to the effect that at the time, Restore Balance was like a really good, well-positioned card. But anyway, this is the shell for it. This is your best bet for playing something like Crashing Footfalls. Because in this deck, you can play it for 0 mana. You get 2 4/4 Rhinos. Good stuff. Really good stuff. Sometimes you can just suspend it, and eventually, when it gets down, you'll get the value. Thank you very much for the super chat. Intern of Doom with the super chat. Thank you very much. Provided Counterspell makes the cut, does that seem to make Blue-Red Kiki Jiki very good? Not having to play Leak is gas. I think it would just be a minor upgrade. It wouldn't be that big of a deal. That would be my take on it. It would not be the end of the world. Like, a deck like Blue-Red Kiki probably wants to play Remand most of the time anyway, because they want to keep digging deeper into their deck to find their combo pieces. Like, generally, this is a Remand deck, not a Counterspell deck. Remand has very traditionally been played in the decks, like basically like combo control decks, you know what I mean? So they want to slow the game down, dig deeper in their deck, find the combo pieces, and boom, kill your opponent. Counterspell definitely is going to be will definitely be a card in that deck as well. But it would be, if anything, I think Counterspell is just going to be a marginal upgrade to everything that you already have. Like, it's going to be a good card, but it's not going to break the format. Like, that's why everyone thought Counterspell would get printed last time. Everyone's afraid of Counterspell. Truth be told, like, the only decks that this would hurt are maybe like Amulet to some extent, because they have Cavern of Souls, and Tron. Because it would easily replace Mana Leak, and Mana Leak basically countered everything unless you had a shitload of mana. So Counterspell, it's just a marginal upgrade. It's not going to be format warping at all. I mean, people will play it, but it will serve the similar function to what Mana Leak and the other 2-mana Counterspells were doing already anyway. So it'll help them, but like it will be very marginal at best. Do you think Vengefine could be viable in Modern? It is always viable in Modern. Vengefine is just here. I love this question about Vengefine. I know you didn't give me the question marks, but the word Vengefine stuck out. So let's go to MTG. The MTG stocks. Going to MTG stocks. We'll look at the stonks of Vengefine. So the deal is, Vengefine is the type of card that's only positioned when it's broken. And you can tell based on this graph when it gets broken. So like when people have not broken it, it's garbage. But when people have broken it, boom, you see the price, it skyrockets. Oh, okay, there's a deck that with Vengefine, let's play this thing. Okay, it gets banned or it's not positioned anymore. Oh, there's a new deck! There's a new Vengefine deck! Okay, everyone get your Vengefines! All right, it's not playable anymore. And there's another Vengefine deck. And there's another Vengefine deck. Oh, Vengefine's well positioned again. Oh, they printed Hogak. Oh, they did something else. And then this has been quite a bit of a drought since the last time we've seen Vengefine see play. But like, is Vengefine a modern playable card? The answer is absolutely yes, but it only depends on some archetype breaking it. You know, I mean, based on this performance, this actually seems like a card that should be banned, because it only shows up when a deck can like break it, basically. Like, it's performing like a banned card, in my opinion. That's how I see it. Like, you can never play Vengefine when it's fair. Like, it's never played in a fair manner. Never. Never, 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 never. It'll always be a good card. Oh yeah, it does see. Does it see play right now? It's in the Oops All Spells deck, isn't it? Or is Oops All Spells just like a dead archetype? Oh yeah, that month with the Crabvine thing was crazy too. Let's get back to some other questions. Did you ever play or consider playing viewer-submitted decks like many streamers do? I do once in a while. People DM me, and I do. Like I played Core Tribal another few weeks ago. I just don't do it often, but I mean, if you DM me, we could make some arrangement. It's not. I do it. It's just not publicly advertised, I would say. Thomas Parrott, I like playing blue, black, and blue-green flash decks, a mix of creatures and spells. Is there a deck in Modern similar that is decent? I like playing blue, black, blue-green flash decks. What do you mean by flash? Like flash creatures? I mean, you could play blue-black control. Blue-black control is a very serious thing right now, but it doesn't. Oh yeah, you want a mix of creatures and spells. What do we got right now in Modern that's like this? Do we have anything like this? I don't think we have a blue-black deck at the moment. Well, Esper Control is like not necessarily very low on creatures. Yeah, I was thinking rogues myself, Dre, but it is very fringe, super fringe. You know, that's point. You know what? Maybe the closest for you would be Bant Spirits. That would be the closest we could get in Modern. Bant Spirits is probably your closest bet. Or even Bant Stoneblade, actually, might be, because you want instants, right? Actually, Bant Stoneblade is probably the best one. Let's look up Bant Stoneblade. Let's just look up a Aspiring Spike at this point. I think that actually would be the closest. Okay, so I think this is the closest we're gonna get to a blue-green deck with instant creatures and a lot of spells. So you've got instants like I thought this was an instant for some reason. Well, whatever. Icefang Quaddle is an instant. Spell Queller is an instant. Brazen Borrower has. Well, I mean, they have flash. They have flash. You have a good balance of spells like Teferi Time Raveler, Jace the Mind Sculptor, Mana Leak, Remand, Force Negation. Uses on Thin Ice, which is actually pretty clever because Path to Exile sucks. And this deck plays with enough Snowlands that you can use on Thin Ice. And you have your like Stoneforge package. I think this is the closest to a blue-green deck under what you're saying. So you could look up Aspiring Spike, MTG Goldfish, and you'll find his Bant Stoneblade list in there. And he's very successful with this list. I think this is the closest you're going to get to a blue-greenish deck. All hail Aspiring Spike. That's right. That's Toski. Probably still an underrated card. Tax each combat if able. Whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a player, draw a card. I mean, they essentially put, what's it called? Bident of Thassa on a creature. Bident of Thassa is what? Coastal Piracy, I think. It's an old card. There's an old effect. 4 mana. Whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to an opponent, you draw a card. This is from Mercadian Masks. Mercadian Masks. How far we've gone. From Mercadian Masks to Toski. Wow. That's fire design right there. Although, to be fair, like, this card never saw play, as far as I know. I mean, this is a jank commander card. Jank! Jank, I say. You're welcome. Mikey J, got any tips for tilt when you're on a real cold streak and playing poorly? You gotta take a break. You know, like I know a lot of people have the mentality like they wanna keep grinding so that they can start winning. But fact of the matter is, if you're losing, it's a combination of you like playing bad. You know, you're not in the right mindset. Maybe you're just autopiloting. There's a lot of things in play here. You might be hungry, underslept. And the best thing you can do is you have to disconnect yourself from the game. You got to take a break. Do something else for 1 or 2 weeks. Still be part of Coffee and MTG, but just make sure that you're not playing any Magic yourself. And wait until you're hungry again. Maybe you're hungry immediately, but you got to disconnect yourself. Because if you keep grinding, that's not, because you're all you're doing is doing the same thing that got you into this rut in the first place. And you just gotta take a break. Unfortunately for the streamers, we have like no choice but to just pile right through it. So when I'm on a cold streak, we just gotta power through the fucking thing. But like all of you out there, you have the choice to play the game or not. I highly suggest taking breaks. There's nothing wrong with that. I've done that before in all other competitive games that I've played. Just do something else. You know, go play on your PlayStation 5, your Nintendo Switch. You know, there's a lot of other things you can do. Get on Steam and find another game. Everyone can use a break once in a while. And then when you come back and you're hungry, maybe try to play more carefully. Look at your games that you were losing if you got them recorded on Magic the Gathering Online, and see if you can find any problems with your games, you know? See if there's any problems with your games. Maybe you'll spot something. Michael, Nikachu, what's your favorite bird? Not MTG, of course. Magpie. Although I have to say this game did influence that decision. I was highly influenced in getting to this game because of this card. I thought this card is so cute. It's so cute. Turns out none of the other cards in MTG are cute. Like almost nothing. At least at that time. This was back in Urza's Destiny days. This was hands down the cutest card that they had in Magic. Nothing came close. Jojo, thoughts on Shardless Agent letting Living End play 8 Cascade spells without having to go 4 colors? I think that's amazing. Yeah, and I think that's totally fine. I think Living End at sorcery speed is a totally fair deck. I don't really think there's a problem with Cascade spells. Like they could always consistently Cascade by turn. They could always Cascade by turn. What's it called? Turn 3 all the time with what they had. Like between cycling cards, they had no problem cascading by turn 3. But now if Shardless Agent is coming to Modern Horizons 2, I'm getting a sense that it is. That like yeah, it will be a fine addition, but I want to say like they may not necessarily need it. It'll be good. They'll play it. Nothing wrong with that. But I think it's a little bit more of a marginal upgrade than anything else. Yes. If it goes to the graveyard, comes back, doesn't trigger, so it doesn't matter. We've got Never Gonna Give Up with the super chat with 5,900 currency. I have no idea. Find out what it is when it one day goes to my bank account. After Simeon Spirit Guide ban, are those brain dead all spells and Neo Brand completely dead? Is there still any super fast turn 1 to 2 deck in Modern? Well, there will be when Clever Lumimancer comes out. That's my so this isn't out yet, but this can contribute easily to turn 2 kills. Now, you can actually still play Mox Amber. And I can't remember what the combination is. You can still play Neo Brand and play Mox Amber instead as a like mana fixer, because you can how does it work? I think you can get an Allosaurus Rider and play Mox. Is Allosaurus Rider a legendary? Maybe I'm wrong. No. How did Neo Brand win with Mox Amber? I know Grizzlebrand can make mana with this. Okay, so yeah, but what's the deal? How do they do it? Yeah, it taps for black. Or is that all they need? Like, how does the black convert to, like, a Laboratory Maniac? Or is that all they need? They still have mana open. Yeah, we have black mana, but Laboratory Maniac requires blue mana. Oh, they use one Pentad Prism? Okay, that's fine. And turn it into whatever color they want. Then that's totally fine. So what they can do is they can still use Mox Amber, but the deck is just more fragile. So the deck wasn't already the deck wasn't doing very well. So like this just makes the deck even more clunky because you have to like play Mox Amber, float mana, play another Mox Amber, float mana. You gotta play 4 of these in your deck. Anyway, so it's a pretty and then you have to put a random Pentad Prism, so it's not great, but it still exists. So there is still a turn 2 deck. It's just super rare that you'd be up against it. In terms of Oops All Spells, that deck is, I mean, it's not a dead deck, but it's not a turn 2 deck anymore. It's only a consistent turn 3 deck. I'm trying to think of like what card defines this archetype. But so like Oops All Spells, it's still around. I still see it. Belcher's still around. Like the Simian Spirit Guide decks, for the most part, they're still here, but they're turn 3 decks now. Like consistent turn 3. Like, and that's fine. That's totally fair. That's within the power level of Modern. Totally within the power level of Modern. Oh, Springleaf Drum to turn your Grizzlebrand into a mana source. I guess that works. That works. Anyway, I hope that answers your question. Thank you very much for the super chat. Never gonna give you up. I like that song. I mean, when I got rickrolled, never complained. Never complained. How are the bets of something getting banned in July after Modern Horizons 2 drops? Very high, to be honest. Like if you're gonna shove a bunch of powerful cards into Modern, you better believe that you're gonna break something. Like there's just no way around it. Something's gonna get banned. We just don't know what it is, and very likely it's gonna be cards that we have a suspicion about, and then might just get pushed over the top. So like maybe this is. I'd be very fearful for any deck playing Manamorphose. I mean, I'm sure the Prowess decks will survive if Manamorphose gets banned, but the Storm players are really scared. They're shitting their pants. They're like, hey, slow things down. We want to keep our Manamorphose. You know? When Manamorphose was just being played in Storm, and like Storm pissed a lot of people off, but they printed a lot of hate cards for Storm, so it's like pretty fine. But now Manamorphose is being adopted by a lot of decks, and that's the problem. You know, a single card in one archetype is not a problem, but it's when it's being played by multiple different types of decks, and then it becomes a problem. That's where it fucking crossed the line. It's a line crosser. And Manamorphose might be pushing close to that direction. Maybe not even with Modern Horizons 2. I mean, Clever Lumimancer might be enough to push this card over the top. Might be enough to push the card over the top. Adrian, daily thoughts on Mono Red. Still good. Matthew, thoughts on a way to break Terror of the Peaks with a creature-heavy ramp deck and prison elements? Terror, I don't even know what this is. 5-mana dragon. Spells your opponents cast that target Terror of the Peaks costs an additional 3 life to cast. Whenever another creature enters the battlefield under your control, Terror of the Peaks deals damage equal to that creature's power to any target. I don't think there's a really good way to break this. It's not a prison card by itself, because your opponents can still play spells. They'll just have to pay 3 life for it. It's not, I would not say it's a prison card. And I would say it's also very, very clunky. I mean, I'm assuming you're talking about Modern. If you're not talking about Modern, like this. And another problem is, like, at 5 mana, there's a lot of better dragons. There's just a lot of better things you can do at 5 mana. I have no thoughts, but if anyone wants to leave comments in the chat, you're free to do it. Help Matthew out. Wants to break Terror of the Peaks. Paid deck review. Oh, paid deck review. If not, why? If not, why not? Maybe I could have like a paid Friday sort of thing. Maybe that could happen one day. At the moment, there is no paid deck review. Like even then, I don't even know what the price would be. Maybe I could have, instead of random to the public, it would be random to the people who are subscribed to my channel. Not subscribed, but like, you know, you're like subscribed on Twitch, Patreon, or something like that. Because I could have my own private deck list review within behind the paywall. But like for now, for the moment, it's a public free thing. The creatures that broke Simic, Flash, and Standard are too clunky for Modern? Yeah, basically. They're a little too clunky. Little too clunky. I mean, some of them are good, but it's still clunky overall. Ryan asks, I wish Elves and Merfolk had their own 2-card combo. Well, we got some... Well, Elves could get a turn 2 combo if they had Glimpse of Nature unbanned, so that's possible. Merfolk is very close to... Oh, sorry, I meant turn 2 combo. Elves doesn't really need a 2-card combo. I mean, you could give it to them, I guess, but like they're generally a combo deck as it is. Merfolk has like a combo pieces, but we just don't have the second efficient one. Like we do have Thassa's Oracle. If anything, for the Merfolk community, like maybe I should get foil Japanese versions of this card. Because like one day, I mean, honestly, like we're so fucking close to a combo kill here. I mean, this is obviously a combo card. It's a Merfolk. We just need the second half of the combo. Where's the second half? You know, I made Splinterfin, but that's not really a 2-card combo. It's like a 3-card combo. Or maybe I didn't playtest Inverter of Truth enough in Merfolk. Just slap that Eldrazi in my Merfolk deck and boom, we're good to go. Oh fuck, it's time for deck list review. All right, everyone. You know how this is. In my use Paradigm Shift. Yeah, unfortunately that is on the reserve list and not Modern legal. So yeah, if in my description there is a link to my Discord, join my Discord. Go to the channel Deck List Review, and then in Deck List Review, type the command !review deck space, give the URL to your deck list, and you'll be eligible at random for deck list review. But before we get into our sponsors, we're going to look at Sean Ward's super chat. What is the thought process when sideboarding between being on the play or the draw? So this is a very good question. How can I articulate this very well in one shot? I mean, back in the day, I was able to do it a lot better. There might be some cards that are not so well positioned on the play that are more well positioned on the draw. For example, I think it was what's his I can't remember his name. Like apparently Hand Disruption is better on the draw than it is on the play. Because if you're on the play, let's get Thoughtseize up here. Because if you're on the play, you have the initiative anyway. You're curving out. You're ahead on land drops, but on the draw you're not. And so Thoughtseize has a better chance. But first off, Thoughtseiz's card is sort of it's card parity, but you're not up on cards. So when you're on the play and you're on 7, your opponent's on 8, exchanging cards may not always be in the benefit for you. And that is one dynamic you got to understand. When you are on the play, you're down on cards. It's very important to understand. When you're on the draw, you are up on cards. Each player starts with 7 cards, but the person on the draw gets a draw step for the turn, so they're actually starting on 8 cards. That's the first dynamic you need to know. So you are much more likely to want to have card advantage on the play than you are on the draw. And somehow the Thoughtseize players, they like cards like this on the draw because they need to choke up your curve when they're on the draw. So if you have a 1/2 drop and a bunch of 3 drops, they want to play Thoughtseize on the 2 drop on the draw so that you don't have anything to do on turn 2 and they can catch up on the draw, because a lot of Thoughtseize decks are generally pretty clunky, and Thoughtseize on the play is less in that way. It's less needed because they're going to curve out anyway, or they have the extra mana. And Thoughtseize a little bit less useful on the play against some like random deck where you're just exchanging resources because they have the person on the draw has more resources than you. And then if you keep trading, they might be the one that has the extra cards anyway. So anyway, I thought that was an interesting take on Thoughtseize. Here, Evan has some advice. If you have 3 mana Tron Hate in your sideboard, you may want to put it in on the play and keep it out on the draw, as Tron can get Tron online before you can cast it, depending on the player draw or not. Yeah, so that's like a good point. Like when we're talking about something like Blood Moon, I mean, I would play it anyway, but Blood Moon, way more effective on the play against Tron, because if you're on the play, you'll definitely lock them out before they get Tron online, whereas on the draw, if you get to 3 mana, it might be useless. So there's a lot of maybe interaction that you take out on the draw because it's less effective. You might have to use some other interaction, whereas on the play, it's a lot more effective. So depending how the game plays out, that you might want certain cards or not. What else do I want to say? It's a pretty deep concept being on the player draw. So like the most important things I would take away is just understand that when you're on the draw, you're down on tempo and you're up on cards. When you're on the play, you're up on tempo, but you're down on cards. And then you want to position your sideboard cards and your strategy based on those factors. That's the most important thing you got to know. Spell Snare a good example? Well, I think Spell Snare is fine just even overall, because a neat thing about Spell Snare is it's even good in the late game when your opponent just randomly plays a 2-drop. But it's definitely better. I don't know if... is that a play draw dependent card? Like, do they side out Spell Snare on the play, for example? I mean, maybe they do. It's definitely better on the draw. It's great on the draw. I don't know enough about control sideboarding to say that they sided out on the play. Anyway, I hope that was some good discussion and good feedback. Hope that you can consider something like that. Like in the past, a long time ago, I used to take out Vial on the play because if I am the one going first, I have the initiative. What do I need Ether Vial for? But on the draw, I'm clunky. I need that Ether Vial to catch up against my opponents. So there are some matchups where I want to be heavier on Ether Vial on the draw and have less Ether Vial on the play, because it's card disadvantage. And like I said, where I'm up on the tempo on the play, and I'm down on cards. So by shaving on Ether Vial, I don't need as much mana because I'm already, playing on the play. And but I need the cards. I need the raw card advantage. So just some things to keep in mind. D-Tie Gaming, example for blue-white, mana leak on the play, mana leak on the draw, depending on the matchup. Okay. I didn't know that. Makes sense to me, though. Also makes sense, yes. Being on the draw means less mana available. You're always down a mana compared to your opponent. Your opponent plays their second land drop, you only have 1. Your opponent plays the third land drop, you only have 2. So you're always down on mana. All right, so but now, before we get into Decklist review, let's thank our sponsors, FusionGamingOnline.com. My favorite local game store for all my paper needs. You've got to pre-order Strixhaven singles or sealed product. You can get it at FusionGamingOnline.com. Don't forget to, however, use coupon code Nikachu at checkout. Lets them know I sent you. Also, you get 5% off all your purchases. Also, the deal of the week this week, 35% trade-in bonus. Limited time offer. So limited that they probably won't offer it for another month or so. But anyway, 35% trade-in bonus, great deal. Get basically 35% in store credit at FusionGamingOnline.com. And also, we're going to thank Mana Traders, the premier place to rent Magic cards online. Basically, the way to bring your decks to life. You love your decks on Decklist Review. Go check out Mana Traders to basically rent any of the cards that you wanted for your deck list. Refine it. Don't buy the cards yet. Trade them. Find out what's the best build. And if you're a brewer, this is the place to be. You can support the channel by using my Mana Traders link in the description below, or save yourself 15% off your first 2 months using my coupon code Nikachu. I have to change my banner. For the my stream later today. All right, let's go check out some deck lists. Wildfire0514, congratulations, you're the next contestant on Decklist Review. Congratulations. You're the chosen one. 5-color elementals by Wildfire. Oh, we got Flamekin Harbinger. Like, basically the best. I don't know. This is like the best Harbinger in the game. It's 1 mana. Search for an elemental card. Put it on top of it. It's like fucking. Like. It's like Mystical Tutor almost. Or is there what is the black tutor? Isn't there a black tutor for 1 mana, puts it on top of your library? What is it? I don't remember. Oh, that's a gas suggestion. Sometimes you don't want counter magic on the draw because your opponents are getting onto the battlefield first, and your counter magic sucks because you have to deal with the battlefield and not what's in your opponent's hand. That's actually a really good point. Really good point, Dre. Vampiric Tutor. For 1 mana, though? Yeah, 1 mana. Search your library for a card, shuffle your library, put that card on top of it, you lose 2 life. Well, holy fuck, you got this on a creature. Like, I think this card is just busted. This card is so busted of a card. I'm jelly over this card. Okay, Smoke Braider, add 2 mana of any combination of colors to your mana pool. Spend this mana only to cast elemental spells or activate abilities of elementals. I know this is stock. I just don't know why exactly. I find it's a pretty crappy card. Thunderkin Awakener. So here's, okay, like, I sort of understand the deck for the most part. Oh my god, we have Seasoned Pyromancer. That's a spicy idea. We have Omnath. So the overall thing about elementals is it does a lot of good dirtily stuff, but it has problem pushing power and damage. I think that is the sole problem with elementals right now. It'll be great if it needs to grind the fuck out of decks, but if it's in a race against a combo deck, against another deck racing it, it needs to be able to push damage because it has a great, has great synergy with Risen Reef and stuff like that, so they can draw many cards. That's all great and la-di-da, but you need to be able to push damage. And Thunderkin Awakener, I think, is a little bit of a dirtly card because it depends on like Lightning Scale Elemental already sort of being around, and then it brings it back and like, stuff like that. And, I understand you can bring Vesper Lark, but it's a little dirtly to me. Now, that's not to say that there's anything wrong with these cards, and I think your list, just taking a glance at it, it looks quite good. You do have your Voice of Resurgence, your Flicker Wisp, Incandescent, what is this other? Oh yeah, this is the Lord. Maybe it needs more of these cards. You may put an elemental creature card from your hand on the battlefield. That creature gains haste until end of turn. Sacrifice it at the beginning of the next end step. Maybe elementals needs more of this to push damage. Like, I know that's the problem. Like, that's the sole problem with elementals at the moment. Like, they can't push damage. And this is a totally fine Lord. There's nothing wrong with this card. Lightning Skelemental. I'm a little... I don't know. I don't know what my verdict is on this card. It's a great card. It's a great card. But it's like a one-shot deal. Risen Reef. This is a very good card. I'm surprised there's only 3 in here. Because it's on the dirtly half of this deck, but still, it's like really good value. Seasoned Pyromancer. I think that's... Does that even work? Do you have the mountains to make this work? I think this is dubious. I think it's hard to cast this. It's not an elemental creature. Oh, Soulstoke helps with Blood Moon? Honestly, I think you should just fuck the matchup. Honestly. I mean, this is the type of deck that you just screw it. I don't know, put a random black source in the... Like, I know it's a 5-color deck. I would just screw the matchup. Like, you're just doomed to it. There's just not much you can do. Also surprised a little bit by the mountains, because you don't need mountains, right? Like, you put basics in the deck. What is the basics for? Oh, maybe just to... No, you put... Oh, no, but you don't have... This isn't red mana. And these aren't red mana. Okay, now I understand that, because you want to be able to activate this, right? But generally, basics are put in the deck to play around Blood Moon. But if they Blood Moon you already have all the mountains you could possibly want. This... I mean, I like Seasoned Pyromancer. I don't think you have the mana base for it. 4, 5, 6, 10, and you have Ether Vial. Like, maybe. It seems clunky though. And I don't really think there's that much synergy. Maybe I'm wrong, but I would say this sort of stands out as awkward. Vesperlark, Omnath, Shriekmaw. You have I guess the mana base is fine. I'm not actually familiar with the mana base that they do on elementals. We have Damping Sphere, Mass Vandal. That's actually pretty good. And you can look for it, right, with Flamekin Harbinger? That's a nice one, actually. And you do have a lot of ways of getting creatures in your graveyard. This is great. This is fantastic. I really like the fact that you can use it as like a toolbox card, you know what I mean? Smoke Braider, Unsettled Mariner, Dismember, Ingot Chewer, Spite Bellows. So, list overall is good. It's fine. The only problem with elementals is its ability to push damage. That is just sort of like I think you have like the more traditional looking list here. And there's nothing particularly wrong with that, but it can't race the decks that you want to race. It is just it's a good deck for grinding. And like you're going a little bit further in the grinding direction with Seasoned Pyromancer, and I don't even think that's necessary. It's just a deck. The deck needs to push damage somehow. I might be inclined to play another Incandescent Soulstoke, and I don't know what else there is available for elementals to like really start hammering in that damage. Because right now, as designed, the deck is just really dirtily. Like Omnath. Well, Omnath is not too bad. Like, that's a pretty serious card. You don't have fetch land, so you can't deal 4 damage to your opponent. Tunnel Ignis for the sideboard. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under an opponent's control, if that player had another land enter the battlefield under their control this turn, it deals 3 damage to that player. It's not bad. But it like hits what? Like just very few decks? Maybe the decks you want to hit. Maybe the decks you want to hit. Because like I said, this deck doesn't race very well. There are 2-drops that give +1/+0. Creeping Elemental. Such thing does not exist. Where you just be here at 9 o'clock a.m. Central Standard Time. Do the conversion. Google is really good at converting time zones. Creeping Trailblazer? Oh. Other elementals you control get +1/+0. Creeping Trailblazer gets +1/+1 until end of turn for each elemental you control. Maybe that's good enough? Maybe that's good enough. I might, as an elemental player, I might experiment with trying to play like 4 of these. If I were to try to take the deck in a new direction. Like it sort of sucks that it doesn't improve the toughness, but maybe it doesn't matter because a lot of these cards can come back from the graveyard anyway. Like it'd be nice to attack willy-nilly with Thunderkin Awakener and not worry about it dying. I don't know what you take out. Like I might be more on the toolbox strategy with like I'd shrink the Shriekmaws down the Vesperlux. If I need to get anything, I get the Flamekin Harbinger. Flicker Wisp is great in my opinion. I'd have 4 of these. I think this is just a fucking amazing card. It can especially with Ether Vial. There's a lot of trickiness to Flicker Wisp. And I would still keep the Risen Reef. Because like it's like Spirits. Spirits needed Lords to become a competitive deck. Period. And it wasn't until Supreme Phantom got printed that Spirits like was non-existent. But then they printed Supreme Phantom and boom, it was winning GPs. I mean, it was simple as that, really. It was really as simple as that. Never impressed with Flicker Wisp? Oh my god. We got I'm very it's a tricky card to play. Like it's a really tricky card to play. Ideally, you're holding it back for the right moment. You're holding it back. Will Collected Company ever get banned? 0 chance. No chance that card ever gets banned. Anyway, so as it stands, your deck is fine. If I were to be ambitious, try to innovate the deck, take it to a new level, I would try to play with Creeping Trailblazer as a 4 of somewhere in that deck. And more copies of... I guess I have to go here. More copies of this incandescent Soulstoke. If I were to try to take this deck to a new level, I would play these lords. Because that's a problem. That's the problem with elementals at the moment. It can't push down. It's very good at grinding out decks. If you let them do their thing long enough, they'll just crush you. But they can't race a lot of decks. That's at least from my perspective. They're not very good at racing. Whoa, 3 mana Chandra? Doesn't work very well with the mana base of like Unclaimed Territory, Cavernous Souls, and Ancient Ziggurat. All right, let's go on to the next deck list. Thank you very much for sharing. Hopefully some of that feedback was useful. Rabas. Orzhov Plague? Sarah's Plague? What the hell? Well, Fish got all the lords you can imagine, but everything else is crap. That's a problem. We have more than enough lords, and we don't have enough good interaction. We have the opposite problem. We have the opposite problem. All right, so what is this? Sarah's Plague. What is the format? I don't... Oh, Pauper. Okay. This is a Pauper deck, people. Get your Pauper hats on. It is Pauper, correct. Correct, Chow. Oh, we got Thraben Inspector. I just gotta say, tappedout.net is a pretty good site for looking at deck lists. Look how big they make the card. So we've got Thraben Inspector, Disciple of Grace, Pro Black. Thraben Inspector is gas, by the way. Core Sky Fisher, also a gas card. Lone Missionary, Guardian of the Guild Pack, Pro Protection from Monocolored. Interesting. It's like basically protection from stuff. Will the Council. ETB starting with you. Each player votes for an artifact, creature, or enchantment card in your graveyard. Return each card with the most votes or tied for the most votes to your hand. So you basically can grab stuff from your graveyard back to your hand. Chainer's Edict, Sign in Blood for card advantage. Ash Barrens. This is like a format staple. Bajuka Bog, Orzhov Beliska. Is this playable? This seems like a pretty clunky card for a 2-color deck. Maybe it's not so bad if you're playing with... No, it seems like garbage to me. What's the advantage of playing like... do people play this in Pauper? Like a lot of these Karoo lands? Like, you're a 2-color deck. Is it really that bad? Plains, Scourge Barrens, 6 Swamp, Cast Down, Spare Supplies. ETB tapped. When Spare Supplies enters the battlefield, draw a card. Sacrifice it, draw a card. Oh, and so you can like bring it back with your Custody Squire. Oh, and Pestilence. At the end of each turn, if no creatures are in play, sacrifice it, but it deals 1 damage to each creature and player. Sideboard, Divest, Duress, Nihil Spellbomb, Circle of Protection, Red, Disenchant, Unmake. So it's like basically like just a white-black pro stuff. And has a little bit of interaction and removal. This is my take on Pauper Orzhov Pestilence deck. The Plague USG was my first deck in Standard, so I'm super nostalgic that this archetype exists in Pauper. This is a combination of several metagame decks and the Plague theme deck from Urza's Saga. Cool stuff. Okay, so what do we got for suggestions here? Bounce lands are played pretty often. All right, bounce lands it is. Spare Supplies is nice with core. Is it? Oh yeah, when it enters the battlefield, you draw cards, so you can like regurgitate it over and over again. So it's just a way of grinding out people. Oh, that's interesting. So that's the point of this deck. We got Pro Black here. This also has a pretty high toughness. This also has protection from monocolor, so protection from your Pestilence. This also has 3 toughness, so you can wipe the board over and over again with your Pestilence. So if people suggest cards, you got to help me out a little bit by telling me what you want to take out. I'm assuming it's Thorn of the Black Rose. Death Touch. When Thorn of the Black Rose enters the battlefield, you become the Monarch. Why is that important to become the Monarch in this deck? Also, it's competing with the 4-drop slot of Pestilence. Tapped out is great for deck building and viewing, but horrible with keeping inventories accurate and up to date. All right. There's pros and cons to everything then. Oh, Straw Boss, this is your deck. I feel like I need more life gain so I can pest more. You got a little bit with the Lone Missionary, although it dies very easily. Also, you have Sign in Blood. That's not really helping your life gain plan. Monarch is busted in Pauper, but don't you need like a payoff for being the Monarch? Monarch is broken. You can defend by stalling the board and draw 2 a turn. What had... What Monarch card is here? I don't get it. Oh, hold on. How does the Monarch work? Maybe I don't even know how the Monarch works. Yeah, the Monarch draws each turn. Oh, becoming the Monarch is a cantrip if opponent can't attack. It's super gas. Ah! Gives you another card at your end step. I would say 2 Tragic Slip because it triggers Morbid. That's interesting. Monarch makes you draw 2 cards a turn. Monarch is a new concept for Magic, a designation that a player may have during the game. The game starts with no Monarch. The second way to become the Monarch is to attack the existing Monarch. If a creature you control deals combat damage to the Monarch, you become the Monarch. Aha, so you draw a card every turn. But if the opponent can't attack and deal damage to you, they can't be the Monarch anymore. That's the Monarch. I have no Monarch cards, but it's super common in Pauper as it is a grindy format. And I guess it's... Well, okay, actually, maybe it's better than your Sign in Blood, which is target player draws 2 cards and loses 2 life. Like, that might not be the way you want to spend your tempo. So maybe this Thorn of the Black Rose is a better way of drawing cards than with... because you're a control deck for the most part anyway. I hope. It's not too bad of a creature, so maybe you want Thorn of the Black Rose, which is common? Looks like a common. Instead of Sign in Blood. For the most part, honestly, for 2 mana, you're going to be playing like a lot of these cards. Like, you're going to be playing these cards instead of your Sign in Blood. So maybe it's worth it. It sounds like Monarch is busted in Pauper. People like being the Monarch. Monarch is a good thing. Also, Chow, we got like a Pauper aficionado here. Sign in Blood is worse than Knight's Whisper in 2 colors. Oh, it's just Whisper. Knight's Whisper. You draw 2 cards and you lose 2 life. Target player draws 2 cards and you lose 2 life. Yeah, so you're like rarely going to be targeting your opponent. So Knight's Whisper is just an upgrade. It's easier on your mana base. What about Read the Bones? I don't know how much of that type of card draw you want. Because you're still a pretty heavy on... Well, I wouldn't say you're super heavy on creatures. You only have 20. Palace Jailer is better because it's removal as well and gives you Monarch. Is it common though? Probably not. Isn't that like a rare? This is Pauper, people. Selling cards very hard. Oh, it's actually uncommon. But not legal in Pauper. I'm loving the feedback here because I depend on it. Pristine Talisman could also be good. Oh, you gain 1 life. It's very clunky, though. It's very awkward mana rock. Sign in Blood is a burn spell, correct. Essence Warden is green. This is a Orzhov deck. Bonder's Ornament? Add 1 mana of any color. Each player who controls permanent named Bonder's Ornament draws a card. I think I'd probably prefer the life gain one. Tap, gain life. Just out of curiosity, Xiao, would you play Thorn of the Black Rose? First off, would you play Thorn of the Black Rose? If you do, what do you take out of this deck? It's a good thing that we've got that. That's why I depend on the community sometimes. I don't know shit about Pauper. I really don't. I just look at the meta shares and I see that it's like a pretty wonky format. Like that's a really unbalanced format, but or maybe it's fine now. The last time I looked at the format a few years ago, it was just really bizarre to me. Okay, yeah, you play Thorn, but what do you remove? Because I would replace Sign in Blood. Oh yeah, Crypt Rats. Forgot about that card. Remember that in some mono black Pauper deck. And like it kills itself, doesn't it? But like you can put it on you can put the ability on the stack so that you can wipe the board. Good old holding priority. So you would want to play with 4 of these Thorn of the Black Rose, take out 2 Missionary and 2 Sign in Blood. You actually feel so strongly about this Thorn of the Black Rose card. That's crazy. It does have Death Touch. You know, I missed that part of this card. It's a 1/3 with Death Touch at the very least. Pauper seems underexplored. There are definitely still decks to be found and optimized, which makes it very inviting for people who like that. Still a brewer's paradise. Well, I mean, I'm willing to take any deck lists that are not draft decks or commander decks, because somebody out there in the in chat will know these formats better than I do. It does seem like a lot to me, but you know what? I don't know. I am not a Pauper person, so maybe. I mean, it's just 8 cards. That will be at 4 mana. Like this is how I feel. But if the Monarch is so busted, then it's just busted. We also have some other suggestions. Phyrexian Rager and the Dark Legion Zealot. Oops. PTB, you draw a card and you lose 1 life. Do we need more card draw? And also we want to save our life, not lose it. I know what Dusk Legion Zealot is a little bit more. PTB, you draw a card and you lose 1 life. I don't know if that's what this deck is trying to do. It's not trying to draw cards to grind them out. It's like we're gonna play some like good value cards, value creatures, and then like blow the whole board up with Pestilence, and your creatures die but my creatures live. I think that's the idea of this deck, and I don't know what you would want to remove for these cards that just kill themselves and lose life at the same time. Play a fog effect like prismatic strands, also prophetic prism, and not spare supplies. Does this draw a card? Oh, it does. Interesting. Prism. ETB, draw a card. Add 1 mana of any color. Well, it filters mana. And prismatic strands. But what would you replace? Or do you want to prevent all damage that sources of the color of your choice would deal this turn? Flashback, tap and untap, white creature you control. Is this really good? This seems like a shitty card to me. But it's worth 35 cents, which means it's seeing play somewhere. Okay, Strands is a sideboard card. Gotcha. And apparently we want to be playing with Prophetic Prism instead of spare supplies. Doesn't that just make this card worse? The Custody Squire. I guess it can still bring back creatures though, so it's not that bad. Not that bad. Okay, I can get behind that. Well, hope that was some good, useful feedback. There was a lot of feedback for that deck. You know, people are passionate about their Orzhov Pauper decks. There's a lot of ideas that can be absorbed from the other archetypes into this thing. I wish I knew more about the Pauper format. I know that there is a Tron deck, there's a mono blue deck, there is a mono white deck. That's my knowledge of the Pauper format. So that's going to be it today for Coffee and MTG. You know, as usual, if you want to see the replay to this, you can go to my alternate YouTube channel, Nikachu MTG Streams. If you want to support a Coffee and MTG, you could leave a sub at twitch.tv/Nikachu MTG. You could become a patron at patreon.com/Nikachu MTG, or you can hit the join button on YouTube. Don't forget, if I didn't get your comments, questions, or deck list, we do this Monday to Friday, 9 o'clock a.m. Central Standard Time. Use Google to find out the exact time zone for yourself. It'll do the time zone conversion perfectly. Also, gotta thank everyone for showing up today, because if it wasn't for all of you, there'd be no conversation today. No one would get help. This show is only possible because you make me a part of your daily routine to help start the day right. So as usual, keep brewing up that coffee, and we'll keep brewing up magic. I'll see you all next time.